Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Emma. Thanks for joining us today.
We're diving into a really interesting and important topic for all English learners: how to develop an English brain.
That sounds intriguing, Mark. What exactly do you mean by an English brain?
Great question, Emma. When you're learning English, it's natural to translate from your native language. You need to start thinking directly in English.
I see. I remember doing that a lot when I was learning Spanish. It can be slow and tiring.
Exactly. It's like building a new pathway in your brain. Instead of going from your language to English, you want to go straight to English.
So, how do we actually do that? How can our listeners start building their English brain?
Well, it's a process, not an overnight switch. Today, we want to share 5 core methods to train your brain to think in English.
I'm ready. Let's hear method number one.
Let's kick off with the first method, something we call thought chains.
Thought chains, like connecting ideas together.
Well, you start with one simple English word, and then you let your mind put connections to other words or ideas, but all in English.
Okay, let's give an example together.
Sure, we'll start with the word story. What comes to your mind, Emma? In English, of course.
Okay, book makes me think of story.
Good. Story.
Story makes me think of character.
Character. Then,
Character. Then interesting.
okay. Interesting.
Interesting. Movie.
Movie then?
Movie. Weekend.
Perfect. See? Story. Character. Interesting. Movie. Weekend. You just make a thought chain in English without translating. The great thing about this is you can do it anywhere, anytime.
Very practical. I can do it while waiting for the bus, walking down the street, or washing dishes.
Exactly. Just pick a word and let your mind wander in English. Don't worry if the connection seems strange. The goal is just to keep thinking in English. Your chains will get longer and fall into place more naturally in time.
I like that. It feels very achievable. Okay, what's the second method?
Method number 2 is about building an English autopilot.
Autopilot, like in a plane?
Aha, sort of. It's about training your brain to respond automatically in English without thinking.
Okay, so how does that work?
You start with very common, simple phrases used in everyday conversation, things you say often. For example, if someone asks you a question you need time to think about, instead of freezing or translating, you train yourself to automatically say, "Let me think about that."
Or if you don't understand something?
Instead of panicking, your autopilot can say, "What do you mean by that?" Or, "Could you say that again, please?"
I see. These automatic responses give your brain time to process what you want to say next.
Precisely. To build your autopilot, choose 5 to 10 useful phrases and practice them until they become automatic.
What are some other examples of useful autopilot phrases?
For example, good ones include, "That's a good point. I see what you mean. Can you give me an example?" As you get more comfortable, you can move to slightly more complex ones like, "Could you explain that in more detail?" Or, "What are your thoughts on this?"
These are all good phrases that make a lot of sense. Okay, method three.
Method 3 is a fun one, using metaphors and analogies.
Figurative language, like saying it's raining cats and dogs.
Exactly. Instead of just saying, "It's very hot today," you could use a metaphor. You might say, "Wow, it feels like an oven in here." Or, "It feels like I'm in a sauna." This adds color and expresses the feeling more vividly.
So it encourages more innovative and descriptive thinking in English as well.
Yes. You can also form Personal metaphors. For example, instead of I'm busy, you could say, I'm juggling 10 things at once. Start collecting metaphors you hear in movies, songs, or conversations. Then try using them yourself.
It sounds like it could make learning more enjoyable too. Okay, on to method number 4.
Method number 4 is about reframing emotions in English. This is really powerful. Many learners find it difficult to express feelings in a second language.
So we need to build new emotional connections in English. Try this exercise. At the end of each day, write down 3 emotions you felt, but do it directly in English.
For example, today I felt frustrated when my computer crashed. I felt proud when I finished my project, and I felt excited about my weekend plans.
Over time, you'll start to feel these emotions in English without translating from your native language.
And don't just stick to basic words like happy or sad. Explore more specific emotions like overwhelmed, relieved, or anxious. As you get more comfortable, you can use more nuanced or idiomatic expressions. Instead of just very happy, you might learn and use I'm over the moon or I'm thrilled. If you're a bit sad, maybe I'm feeling a bit down today.
So, you're not just learning vocabulary, you're learning to experience your emotions through English.
That's a great way to put it, Emma. It deepens your connection to the language. A good way to practice this is to keep a short daily journal. Just write down one or two, like, today I felt stressed because of work, or I felt relaxed after talking to my friend.
That sounds like a really personal way to practice. It connects the language to your real life and feelings. Okay, these are 4 methods: thought chains, English autopilot, metaphors and analogies, and reframing emotions. Let's move on to the final one:
The fifth method is simulating English-only situations.
simulating, like pretending.
This is about practice scenarios where you can only use English. For example, imagine you're ordering food at a restaurant. What would you say? How would you ask questions about the menu?
Or practice giving directions to your home, all in English. Imagine someone stopped you on the street to ask,
Exactly. You can even do this out loud when you're alone. It might feel strange at first, but it's incredibly effective.
so you're preparing yourself for real life interactions by practicing them in your mind first?
Yes. Another way to simulate English situations is to watch a TV show, pause it, and respond to the characters as if you were part of the conversation.
That's clever. It turns passive watching into active practice.
It does. You can also do role playing. If you have a friend who is also learning English, practice common scenarios together. Take turns being the customer and the shop assistant, or the tourist and the local giving directions.
And if you don't have a practice partner,
You can even role play alone. Talk to yourself. It might feel silly at first, but it works. Have a conversation with yourself in the mirror about your day, or practice explaining your hobbies in English out loud.
so simulation builds confidence because you're practicing in a safe space before you face the real situation.
Exactly. These simulations prepare your brain for real English interactions. When the real situation happens, your brain will think, I've done this before.
These all sound like practical ways to actively train your brain. It's not just about learning rules, it's about changing how you think.
That's the core idea. Building an English brain is a journey. It takes time, patience, and consistent practice. Don't expect to switch overnight, and don't get discouraged if you still find yourself translating sometimes.
That's important advice. Be kind to yourself during the process. The goal isn't immediate perfection, right? It's gradual progress.
Exactly. Every time you do a thought chain, use an autopilot phrase. Think of a metaphor. Describe a feeling in English or simulate a conversation. You're strengthening those English neural pathways. Over time, thinking in English will become more and more natural.
So, the key takeaway is consistency. Try to incorporate these techniques into your daily routine, even for just a few minutes each day.
You got it. Little by little, you'll build that English brain and find yourself speaking, understanding, and interacting with much more confidence and fluency.
Fantastic advice, Mark. I hope our listeners feel inspired to try these methods out.
Me too. Give them a try, be patient, and enjoy the process of unlocking your English brain.
That's all the time we have for today on English Unlocked. Thanks for tuning in.
Join us next time for more tips and tricks to help you on your English learning journey. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.